I love it, I love it. Here we are on the very last All Access Pass, and as you know by now, my name is Jason, I'm your cruise host, and whether you're watching live here in the studio audience or back in your rooms for the last couple hours of the cruise, thank you so much for coming up to be with us. This is All Access Pass, and I am joined by one of my favorite artists of all time, and absolutely one of my favorite humans to have on any of these cruises, and certainly for me to be able to sit and chat with, Mr. Felix Cavaliere. Yes.
Hello. Boy, it's great. You got a good-looking crowd today, bro.
Yeah, look at them.
Absolutely.
Look at all these beautiful
Not
people.
bad.
It's
Yeah.
my flower power folks. I love them.
Yeah.
These are my people out here.
Absolutely.
So you've done a few of these cruises with us.
Yes.
And I got to say, first and foremost, welcome back. So glad to have you, as always. And for everyone, I know I speak for the on behalf of everyone. Such a killer show, man. Such a killer show.
Well, thank you. You know, I don't know if you realize how much you all add to that show. You know, you figure when you come out here, you see these smiling faces like this, you know, you say, it makes you want to rock and roll. For sure.
You know, Alan Rubens, you know Alan very well, obviously, executive producer Alan Rubens. He says every single year when we're talking about who are we bringing and who's not, your name comes up every single year because, well, for all the obvious reasons, but for personal reasons, Alan thinks that you and your sound, and I know most of us would agree, really define in a lot of ways the sounds of the 60s. And your songs, your catalog, and your music is era defining for a lot of folks. So how does that feel, not only from Alan's aspect, but from an audience aspect, to know how much you and your music mean to all the fans?
Well, you know, when you're sitting in the dentist chair, you know, sometimes they put these things on you and they said, you know what I was doing first time I heard that song?
Getting a cavity filled, apparently, yeah.
And I get stories like that. Another friend of mine, he went to Notre Dame. He says, you know, every time Beautiful Morning came on, I didn't go to class. You know?
You've contributed to a history of delinquents, is what you've done.
It's just so much fun. You know, we really appreciate you. I want you to know that. I mean, like I say, it means a lot, you know, to, you know, sometimes I'm on an elevator and I hear like, oh my God, that's me. They don't know that's me, but that's me.
There's got to be a little party that wants to like nudge.
Do you know who that is? No, I don't know that one. You know,
this trash.
Yeah, it's a joy. It really is. We're very lucky and blessed, you know. And you know, I got to say, I mean, this crew on this ship is A1.
That's good people.
You all know that, don't you? I mean, you know, like, you don't meet people like this that actually are so friendly and so giving and so loving, you know, and it's a pleasure to be here.
You know, and we were going to, this is a love fest now, but part of when we, and the audience knows this because I've talked about it a fair bit and Alan's talked about it as well, when we're picking the entertainers for the ship, obviously we want folks that resonate. We want folks that had huge hits. Sure. Certain artists we pick because they had songs that were so iconic. But a big part of how we choose people to come out is, are you a good person? Can you coexist in this very petri dish-like environment, this very small ship, with all of us, right? Because you're going to breakfast with everybody. You're going to lunch. You're going to dinner. If you are a jerk, you know, it's, which he's not, thank God. If you are a jerk, though, it makes some of those decisions harder. But because you are such a kind and just generous and giving human, it makes it so much easier.
Thank you.
It makes it so much easier. Let's do a quick history trip, and then we'll chat some current. You started piano around 5. Is that 5 years old? You started piano, and you started pretty. They put you to it, pretty intense right out of the gate.
Yes, they did. You know, my mom, rest her soul, she wanted me to be a classical musician. You know, and I didn't quite make that hurdle there, but
just missed the mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at 5, you started the piano, and your mom, what you did, I think you told me last time, you did 8 years of what, three lessons a week?
Yeah,
or?
I did, exactly, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, like, it was a serious school. I was very happy to be part of it because I learned a lot, you know. And I actually went to, believe it or not, Carnegie Hall, and we did an audition down there. And, you know, it was just really interesting because, you know, I don't know if you've read my book. Have you read my book?
Yeah, it's a great book.
But I say in there, you know, I mean, seriously, we used to have a place where we played stickball back, you know, street. And, you know, of course, the home plate was like a, you know, manhole cover.
As you do, yeah.
And my mom would park on the cover until I got in the car, and she says, "We're going." I said, but Mom, we're in the 8th inning. You don't understand. He says, "Well, you're not going to play baseball because I'm here," and I had to go. And seriously, I really appreciate that because, you know, if you don't push your kids, they don't do too much.
You got to stay on them.
Very true.
So we have Mom to thank for the fact that we have you. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, Dad paid the bill, so, you know.
Well, and your first concerts were actually playing for family. I think I remember you telling me last time. Your mom used to have people over and be like, "Just jump on the baby."
Yeah. Yeah, you got a lot of memories from those days, you know, like, you know, what I remember is like, you know, the people would come over, you know, and you know, well, let Felix play. And I go, "Oh, man, come on, man, I'm going to do this, man, jeez." And I sit down. As soon as I sit down, everybody started talking. So I figured out this little thing. I said, "You know what? I'm going to play softer and softer. And soon everybody, all they heard was each other talking. And then I played loud." That's true. I swear to God.
We're lucky your mother didn't kill you. That's what we're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you transition from piano to the Hammond?
Oh, well, I went to this, I was underage, but anyway, but we went to this club up in New Rochelle, New York. You know where New Rochelle is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my friend told me there's a trio in there you got to hear. They were called the Mighty Cravers. And they were like an organ, there was a drum, and there was a sax. And I just looked and I heard and I said, "Oh my God, sounds like an orchestra." Well, yeah, because the guy's playing bass.
Yeah.
He's playing rhythm. He's playing lead. He's singing. I said, I gotta learn this. That's how it started. Yeah.
Peter Asher, when he introduced you, was talking about the complexity of the Hammond and the complexity. It's not a simple instrument. And he said as much. He said a lot of keyboard and or piano players think they can just jump on and play it, but they cannot. He said there's a very select few people in the world who are truly considered masters on that instrument. And you're one of them.
I'll tell you a funny story if you got a minute.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Do we have a minute? Of course we have a minute. Where are we going to go?
You see this back here, this red thing? I don't know what happened, but on one of the, I don't know if it was the cruise or something, we had some trouble with the Hammonds.
Yes.
Those Hammonds, they stopped making them in 1972. I mean, so when you see one of those on the stage, pray. Because there's a box that goes with that's called Leslie. But anyway, they're old. Yeah. And I mean, like, they're not, I mean, you know, I don't believe they were ever really made for portability. Because chiropractors love me.
That's hundreds of pounds.
So anyway, this is a true story, real quick. So what happened is I ended up with one of these on stage, which is called a Nord. And it's a portable one. And you had a group on here, the Ides of March.
Yeah.
The Ides of March, good friends. Well, the keyboard player for Ides of March is also a Hammond rep. And he says, "Man, Felix, what are you doing, man? What are you doing on that thing, man? I can't have you play that thing. You can't do that, bro." I said, "You don't understand." He says, "No, man." So my manager, I got one of the best managers on earth.
You do.
Avi Steinman, are you here somewhere?
Avi's
there
over
he
there.
is.
Avi's over there.
So he says, "Well, let me tell you something, Scott. Why don't you give him one?" So I got a free Hammond.
Hey. I'll ask Abby later what it costs to ship a 500-pound instrument.
Yeah, no, this is a small one, but it's...
Oh, the portable ones.
Yeah, which is really nice, but it's, you know, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But anyway, he asked the right question, got the right response.
So you went to the Catskills.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were part of the house band of the Raleigh, I believe. I remember you
Correct.
telling me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were just a kid at the time. What
Yeah.
year was that? That was in the early 60s?
1910, 11.
11, 10, 11. 1874. I was, yeah.
It's a long time ago. I think I was a sophomore.
Sophomore.
And we had two different fraternities represented in the band, and one of the young men in the band, he knew somebody who had a really big contact in the Catskills. And you all know the Catskills, what it was?
Oh, yeah.
You worked at the Raleigh. Oh,
There we
George. Yeah, George Gilbert and company. Well, it was just so much fun, man. I mean, the Catskills were like the place where
It was it.
everybody went from New York to in the summer, and first of all, it started off as a health spa, the place, because of the fact that the air was so clear up in the mountains. But yeah, I had a blast.
Well, and that's how you got linked up with Joey D.
Yeah.
Come on, tell the story.
Well, I mean, the story is long. I gotta put a.
Again, where are we going to go? Come on.
Well, basically, what happened is they would have a headliner in every weekend, and changed my life. I mean, this one weekend there was this group that came in called Joey D and the Starlighters. Well, they got a new dance and it go like this. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it started off like, it was very strange. I met the first person I met was the road manager for the what do you call it, the Joey D band, and he was named Fat Frankie. And Fat Frankie went on to work with Alice Cooper, and he's been, and he was fat.
Shocking. Yeah. What gave it away?
And it was just really a strange thing because, I don't know. Like I remember the brother of Eddie Brigatti. His name is David, who ended up singing with us. First thing he said to me, "Are you Jewish?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, that nose, I couldn't tell." It's true. Little did I know that my entire life was over with for normalcy, And so anyway, we were playing at the Raleigh. We were playing for the kids. We were playing for the guests as they came into the hotel. We were playing for the guests when they first came to the nightclub, And we were playing what was called the Twist. You remember the Twist? And we had a lounge. So I was working in the lounge, and this fellow, Fat Frankie, came in and saw me, and he went back and told these guys, "Hey, there's this guy in there. He looks like he's a little lizard, He
looks like a little lizard.
Well, I weighed about
Thanks, Fat Frankie.
55 soaking wet pounds, And he says, "Man, he sounds like a bro, man. You got to get this cat on." So anyway, I got to know these guys, and they went to Europe, and their organ player left. He had just recently been married, and so they called me up, and they called up, and said, "Would you like to join us in Europe?" Well, I had this slight problem called school. Yeah, okay, now what do I do? So,
Mom?
I had to ask my dad. I said, "Hey, Dad, getting him to go, was a great story, too. I don't know if I put that in the book, but finally, he came to a show, and there was a maitre d' there who said, "I'll take care of your father. Don't worry about it." He treated my dad like I was Elvis Presley. He gave him the front seat, at the dining room. He gave him the front tables at the shows. And he says, "Well, you're doing well." I said, "Absolutely, Dad. I'm making $60 a week and all I can eat." So he said, "Well, go ahead, take some time off." And I did.
And you had some group of punk kids were opening for you.
Wow, when I got to Frankfurt, I got to Germany, which was another whole chapter in a book. Boy, it was. We went to the club, and as we walked in, I heard people screaming, hollering. I said, "What's going on?" "Oh, that's the Beatles." I said, The what?" "It's the Beatles." Nobody knew them yet, except for in Europe. They knew them in Europe. I saw Peter's show today, Peter Asher.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So you know a lot of the story from, he was there, you know. But anyway, long story short, I said, well, what do you mean? What is this? And I saw these 4 guys singing and playing what I could hear. And I said to myself, I could do this. I could handle this. I could do this. Especially the women screaming. I said, this is great.
Who were your, now obviously you're with Joey D, you're seeing the Beatles before anyone else is seeing the Beatles, and you're also in the mix, you're seeing all these other artists, not only on tour, but you're now with Joey D, you're getting introduced to all these other stars. Who were you looking up to at the time? Which artists were influencing you?
Well, a lot, because, you know, growing up near New York City, we had the beginning of rock and roll. We had Alan Freed, you know, bringing that, yes. And those of you that remember, it was pretty exciting, you know, because we never heard anything like this. And you know the good thing about it? Let me tell you a good thing about it. You know what auto-tune is? See,
we all do it now,
like,
yeah.
You know what it is,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
we
in other
all do
words,
it
like
now.
if you have a spell check, you know, you don't have to know how to spell. You just hit the red line, right? You know, it's the same with singing. You know, like if you sing and you go through this thing called auto-tune, it tunes you. Well, in the old days, we didn't have any auto-tune. You either sang or you got fired. So the people that sang on those stations, from the Flamingos to the Moonglows to the Penguins, they were great. Benny King, I mean, these
Sam
people.
and Dave.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was ridiculous how good these. And that's why I say, for me to be up here singing for you is such a blessing, I tell you. I just adored these people, you know. And then, of course, as a keyboard player, Ray Charles, you know, Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis. These guys were really, really, really good, which is why you were all coming to all these ships and seeing who you could see.
You were basically learning from and/or tutored by the greatest to ever do it, and a variety of them.
Let me try this. You know, fortunately, when you have a musical education, you can kind of, find your way through. Sure. You know, you just got to learn that thing they call soul.
Well, you can't learn that.
Yeah, you learn it. You when you get that going, then you're all right.
You've got it or you don't. I mean, you have to have soul to be able to even attempt to learn.
That's a whole
soul.
other story.
Yeah,
but still, you know, seriously, I mean, like, you know, just what a joy singing and playing these songs. As a matter of fact, I just did a new album. Do you all know about my new album?
Talk about it.
Well, again,
talk about
my manager and my guitarist, Mr. Stevers, are you over there, Michael?
He's I know.
There he goes.
Yeah.
We got this idea. We were locked in with the pandemic.
Yeah. We remember.
Do you remember? Yeah. And he said, well, why don't we take 5 songs that influenced you and re-record them? Which was the hardest part, is finding 5 songs that influenced me, because there must be 500, you know. Re-record them and write 5 new songs. So we did that, and it was just so much fun, you know, because, first of all, one of the things really you need when you do an album or you do a record, you need songs. So if you start off with good songs, you're way ahead of the game.
And the album is Then and Now, correct? Yeah.
And another funny story, okay? Here we are locked up for centuries. Come up with this idea. So, all right, what should we call it? Then and Now. What did the Beatles do? Now and Then.
Now and Then. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, we were. I mean, how do you figure this? I don't know. I guess we're on the right frequency.
You're clearly doing something right. As you know, Felix, I like to have our audience write in some questions as well. Mike comes to us from the Villages. Great question, Mike. What is it like to be awarded an introduction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
Chaotic. Because not only did I get in, but my band did. The guys in the band. Yes. You know,
Yeah, the Rascals.
we were hoping that Gene would be able to make it here, but you know, his
Talk about Gene, please.
Well, his doctor said, you know, like you shouldn't try and get on a boat like that, because you're not walking too well. And I told him, nobody else walks well on the boat either.
We've all seen that for 2 days. Yeah.
But you know, a Rascal reunion, it's kind of like somebody says you're divorced. Would you like to get together with your wife? I said, for a couple of days. No, I'm not really. But anyway.
Well, Carol from New Mexico asks exactly that. Any chance of reuniting with Dino?
Oh, Dino passed.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, Dino passed. No, Dino, unfortunately.
So no.
Well, now wait a second. I hope not.
Yeah. That'd be a reintroduction we don't need. We like you where you are. Pat from walked right into that.
Thank you for that. That was perfect. Yeah.
Pat from Orlando. I'm curious, how do you move your Hammond from show to show?
See, now that's a funny question. How do I move my organ?
Yeah. It's not what I said, Felix.
Well, to be really honest, I don't. We don't. We have to rent. Yeah. But in that case, I got a brand new baby. I got an XK4 Hammond, which I can actually just about carry. Oh. You know, you can't move that thing around. You have to rent when you get there, or the people they provide it.
Is it Judy Ann from Massachusetts? Is that right? Judy Ann, is that correct? What is your favorite small venue to play? We saw you at the Flying Monkey a few years ago, and it was fantastic.
Well, you know, it's a big difference working in a small place and working in a big place. A big place, the good things about it, you make more money.
Get a portion of the door. Yeah.
But the small place, you know, you really enjoy more because kind of like this where we all started was intimate. In the basements, maybe in the basketball courts at schools, proms, in clubs, and so it's more intimate. And you know, like when you can feel the people, you know, it really makes it a lot more intimate. It's a lot more fun, you know.
Is there an artist that you played with or had experiences with or just saw that helped you turn from a musician into a performer?
Well, seriously, when the band broke up, you know, I was sitting back there. Yeah. You know, and I was kind of taking care of the music, and I was perfectly happy being back there. I mean, I let my little guy Eddie over here and then Gene over here, let them be the matinee idols. I wanted to take care of the music. But when the group broke up, I had to get to the front of the band. Yeah. And it's a big change, you know.
Huge.
I'm protected behind that. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden I got to get out here, and took a little bit of time, you know, to kind of like say, well, okay.
Yeah, it's lonely out there.
And you know, there's nothing like, and I tell the young people this all the time. I mean, you know, we have computers now where you can make your music at home all the time. It's not really a good idea because you've got to learn how to be in front of people. Yeah. You've got to know the camaraderie, the back and forth that goes on between, you know, like, for example, when we first played Good Lovin' for people, they just jumped out of their seats and danced. So you know you got a hit. You know what I mean? You know something's good here. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You do something and that's it. How come everybody's leaving? You know? Yeah.
Move that song along.
So yeah, the big difference.
Brian comes to us from Syracuse, New York. What years did you go to college? Did you go to college? And what did you do after you left college?
Well, it was a transition from pre-med at Syracuse University. Yeah. Yes, good old Syracuse, freezing my tail off. Yeah. To the music business. Yeah, I just swoop right in. Yeah.
Dave comes to us from Washington, D.C. Who was your favorite artist, or did you have a favorite song when you were growing up?
Well, as I say, you know, growing up from 5 to like 12, 13, I was really, my favorite artist was probably Mozart.
Mozart.
You know, because that's really what I, you know, they
well,
didn't
you were
really,
classically.
Yeah, they didn't really want us to, you know, poison ourselves with pop music, you know.
And look at you now.
Exactly. But after I graduated from that, and I turned on that radio, there was a guy by the name of Ray Charles that just did it for me, man. I mean, like I said, like, oh my God, what is that? Wow.
Well, I think something that I've, and I don't know if you've all picked up on this, but out of all the interviews, that statement right there, what is that? That has been said by almost every artist that I've had up here, that at some point in their progression, they had a moment where they saw Elvis or they heard Ray Charles or whatever, and they said, what is that? every one of you almost has said the same thing, which is an interesting transition to go from however you're being trained or schooled into, oh my goodness, there's another side to this. That's got to be magic in that moment. That's got to open up your brain.
Oh, it still is. I mean, seriously. I mean, you know, of course, you're all familiar with Ray Charles. I mean, this was really, really something special. I mean, the way he played and the way he sang. You know, of course, like if you know church, you know, that's church put to, you know, like contemporary music. But wow, genius.
That's the hope.
That's right.
I'm sure that's what he was hoping to inspire in people, not to mention inspiring people to become musicians and artists in their own way.
Well, I later found out, man, that he liked our music, man.
Yeah. Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That had to be a cool full circle moment.
It was, man. And I did a show, what was that lady, a comedian, Jane, I can't remember her name. Yeah, but she had a television show, and Ray Charles was sitting in the... Yeah, Joan
Rivers?
Joan
Rivers. Joan Rivers. Jane Rivers, her sister.
So he's sitting right over there, and I'm playing with the band. They had me with the band. And he's right over there, man. Ray Charles sitting right over there. So as I'm singing, I'm just singing right at this dude. I'm going like, I've been lonely too long. And he go like this. Yeah, man, I got Mr. I'm telling you, that meant a lot to me, man.
That's cool.
That was really
cool. What a great memory. That's a core memory.
Oh, yeah.
That's got to be a core
just
memory.
Singing right straight like there was nobody there but me and him. Wow. Yeah, that was fun, man.
Dave had a follow-up question. Are there any places in the world that you would like to visit or play which you haven't?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, we did this wine tasting this morning. I don't know if any of you were there. Yeah. And the gentleman there was at a country that I'd never been to. He was from South Africa. Yeah. And we were not allowed to go to South Africa in those days. It was closed up. I'd like to go there.
Oh, South Africa.
I would.
I like that. It is.
I'm
It's gorgeous.
sure it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Gary comes to us from Missouri. Was Good Lovin' your first hit? Who wrote it?
Well, actually, it was our second hit, but it was our first major hit. You know,
66?
Something like that. 66, yeah. Long time ago.
It was 66.
Rudy Clark, I get credit for that, and Artie Resnick. And the reason that happened is very simple, because in those days, the clubs that you worked in did not want you to do originals. They wanted you to do what they call covers. So basically, what I had to do was to prove by buying a disc or a 45 that this was something that was, you know, like not ours, but a cover. So we found that one. You know what I mean? Wow. We found that one, put that in the repertoire. As I say, the rest is history. Yeah.
But I mean, you had in a row. You had Good Love in '66. You had Groove in '67. You had Free in '68, and you also had Beautiful Morning in '68. I mean, that is a ding, 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 ding.
And then we decided to break up and the heck with it.
Yeah, we're done now. We've done all we can do.
Exactly.
Eddie, we love Eddie's questions. Eddie's from Long Island. Did the Rascals ever play in Murray the K's New York City concert?
Absolutely.
And
Murray the K, Murray the X, yeah. He was a good guy, man. We used to go to the games together, Jets, and watch the Blues.
He wants to know how, some of the bands that you played with in those concerts.
Oh, my God.
Who'd you play with?
Yeah, you know, when I was doing the book, you know, I wrote a page of all of the people and the bands that we have worked with over the years. And seriously, it starts with Bing Crosby.
Bing Crosby.
It goes, I'm telling you, we have Bing Crosby. We worked with, my God, you know, as far as band Kinks, you know, Jimi Hendrix, who else did we? The Yoko Ono band, whatever you call that thing. We really did a lot of shows, you know. And then, you know, basically what happened in the old days, as a lot of you know, the shows were kind of like this, where they were like 5 or 10 acts on the bill, you know. And then as the audiences grew and the prices got higher and higher and higher, everybody started doing their own. You know, Eagles, and God, we were Buffalo Springfield, and
sure.
Yes, Sly, you know, and you know, we really got around, and as I say, so many. I can't even begin to tell you how many.
All of them. Debbie comes to us from Virginia. When will you be in the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia area? Wolf Trap is a great concert area.
Yeah, certainly is. I've been there before. I've been there. We don't know. We just kind of wait till the phone rings and then we go to work, you know. But Wolf Trap was a big place for me. I happened to, when I did that, I don't know, it's a long story, but I met a fellow at that time who was with Bell Telephone. And he became a lifelong friend. And it was right before an election. It was 1988. And he said, "Son, I'd like you to do a commercial for me." And basically, it was to bring out the vote. And he had two ex-presidents, Jimmy Carter, and he had Gerald Ford, and it just was a nonpartisan bring out the vote. So Wolf Trap's always been very special to me.
Very cool. Steve comes to us from D.C. How are your kids doing these days? Any of them ever consider going into pharmacy?
No, they got the bug to be in the music business, and they got the bug to be artists, and I said, I don't know about that. But no, they're doing well. One of my daughters is working at the Four Seasons in Nashville, and actually two of my girls are at the Four Seasons, and the other one's an architect.
And last time I asked you, and you shared with us, you can dodge it if you want this time. You're not grandpa, you're known as?
Poppy.
Poppy.
That's me.
We got a doodle and a poppy on
go.
this week. Janice O'Neill comes to us from Maryland, now in Broward. What is the background for People Gotta Be Free?
Well, I was working with a young lady that I was seeing for Robert Kennedy for his campaign. We just thought maybe we need to make a change and get a little different type of person in there that was going to shake things up. And then when that horrible event happened, the lady I was seeing was actually there.
Oof.
Yeah, she was there in Los Angeles, and it kind of shook me up, because as you well know, when you get behind a candidate, regardless of who it is, you're really behind that candidate. I mean, you get all wrapped up in all that furor and everything, and it really affected me, And I said, like, wow, gotta say something, man. Gotta say something. Gotta say something. And that's what came out was all the world over. It's easy to see. People everywhere, they just want to be free.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Carmen from Miami has no questions at all. She just wants to say, keep on singing, please, because we absolutely love you.
Oh, how nice. My man, my lady. Well, I'll tell you what, man, as long as this good Lord wants me to do this, I'll be doing it. You believe that? Yeah, absolutely. You got it.
As you've received so many accolades, you're in, I can't even attempt to list all the Hall of Fames you're in and all the different accolades you've gotten. Does one mean more than the others to you?
Well, it really does. I mean, not to slide into the other, but the Songwriters Hall of Fame is real special, because first of all, this is an organization that doesn't have a place, doesn't have a museum, and it's not even televised, and it's kind of private, but the people who are in there, they're really, really special. So when I got that call, I started crying. I really did. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's beautiful.
No, Songwriters Hall of Fame is happening.
Moment.
You got Hal David, Burt Bacharach. You got, Bohemian Rhapsody, George Gershwin. Come on, man. Yeah. What, are you kidding me? Yeah. It's just like a real treat. And then when you go there, there's it's changed a little bit, but it's very intimate. You get to actually see the people and, talk to them. Whereas the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now is a television show.
Yeah.
So it's not an intimate meeting that it used to be where we used to go and say hello to our friends because you can't get past the guards and the security, and all that stuff.
So if people want to get a hold of your album and your book, where can they go? Is it Amazon? Is it your website?
Well, Amazon will have it. FelixCavalieremusic.com will have it. And it's right over there.
That way.
See how my manager, he's always on top of it.
Abby's on it. That's why he's still your manager, because Abby knows how to get things done. When you walk on stage on the Flower Power Cruise and you look out at this audience and you see folks that have been listening to you for basically as long as you've been playing, what is the emotion you get?
Thank you. That's what I feel.
Thank you. Gratitude.
Thank you, absolutely.
You feel gratitude?
Yes.
Oh. you are, which is a fantastic feeling and sentiment. And I think we talked about it last time. Some of that comes from your yoga training. It comes from you've kind of done a deep dive into yoga. And when we had our yoga on board in the past, you actually gave speeches, some presentations with them. Tell us a little bit about your yoga journey and what it's done for you.
Oh, that's kind of a hard thing to kind of even describe. But, I'm sure many of us who have questions, personal questions, intimate questions. And, it's hard to find anybody that can answer these questions. I had a question. My mom passed. Well, how come my mom? And all this, and this music business. I was a little confused in the music business. I said, what a crazy business. I mean, seriously, like they love you until you stop making hits, and then they don't even know your name.
They forget about you.
It threw me because see, my dad, my family, they were all in the medical field. Well, once you're a doctor your whole life, but. That's not the case anymore. So I was a little confused.
Sure.
And I saw this. That's a great story. I think I put it in a book. But anyway, long story short, somebody gave me a book called Autobiography of a Yogi. Mm-hmm. I read the book, and in the end it says, if you want a guru, if you want a teacher, ask. And I'm telling you, he came. He was right there. He was at a television station. I walked in, I said, whew. And that's how it happened.
And you last time we were talking about it, you said you credit your journey through yoga with helping you find balance and peace as well, because you are such a good human. You're just such a nice man. You're so kind all the time. And not that you weren't. Not that you weren't, but you were crediting your yoga journey with helping you find some of that
basically, very simple, not to bore you with what yoga is, but yoga is just a way to keep yourself sane. It really is mental, physical, and spiritual health. You balance. You balance yourself. You pay attention to your diet. You pay attention to your exercise. You pay attention to your mind. You pay attention to your connection with. They fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And so if you do those things on a regular basis, you're going to be fine. Trust me, you're going to be fine. Everything's going to say like, oh, this is how I'm supposed to feel. Yeah, you're not supposed to be sad and unhappy and bitching and moaning and nasty. You're not supposed to be like that. That's why my teacher used to say, you are at ease, and then you get dis-ease. You got to undo the dis, and you're at ease.
Take that little nugget with you. I feel like that's a song lyric in there somewhere. Before you get up and run, we are going to have a cool moment here.
Oh, yes.
Just a moment. We're going to auction off a keyboard with Felix, and then after that, he's going to sign some autographs. And thank you very much, good sir. Before we do those, I do want to end our television show here by thanking this man for not only being on board, but for taking his time with us. Do me a favor, everybody. Please help me thank the fabulous Felix Cavaliere.
Thank you.